Right, this morning we're going to be Cerakoting a 243 Browning A bolt. It's done a fair life in the bush, so you can see the bluing's worn off. Before we do anything, first thing we do is clear the weapon and make sure it's safe. So we're all good there. We move into disassembly. Okay, we've got two piles here left now. So we've got our stuff that's not going to be Cerakoted, and we've got the stuff that's going to be Cerakoted. We just give a quick final check before we get on to jigging for these, and we look for, make sure we haven't left any last moving parts. Basically it's got to be stripped to the last possible part. We can paint them with the barrel still in the action. And sometimes we get a bit of weepage out there, but we'll follow that up later in the video on how we're going to combat that. But if it causes too much grief, we'll take the barrel out and clean it. So we just have a quick look at these, just a final check, make sure there's no other springs or plunges that we've forgotten about that are going to hold oil and cause this problem. So we've got a little clip there, so there is one more thing there that needs taken out. All of those rings are fairly straightforward. Alright, so we're happy with that. We've just got to take one last spring out of here and then we'll be done. I'm going to put this jig to hold the barrel while we Cerakote it. It's a nice brass threaded rod, softer than the barrel, and some plastic acetal ends so they won't damage the crown or the chamber. And we carefully put that in there, slide that all the way down to there. Put this end on. So that'll now go into the brake clean bath for cleaning, to degrease all the grime and the crud that's developed on there. And after it's been in there for a few hours, it'll get sandblasted. Okay, we're at the next stage of the Cerakote process. The items have been disassembled, they have been jigged, they have been through the brake clean bath, and they have been sandblasted, and they've been in the oven for just over half an hour, and what we're looking for is make sure there's no oil leakage, or make sure all the parts are blasted back to bare metal. So we'll have a look in here. Right, so we'll have a look at the browning there and have a look. There's no oil leaks on that, and it's all perfectly blasted, so that's ready for painting. So we put that in the Coyote tan pile, hang that up there. And then we unload the rest of these, inspecting them, making sure that we've had no oil leakage. And put them in the correct place so that we get the right colour on them. Making sure that we don't touch any of the parts now, because these are all perfectly clean and oil free. And even though we've got our gloves on, we still try not to touch any of the parts once they've got to this stage, to ensure that the Cerakote has a good surface to key into. Okay, so we've got all the parts out of the oven now, and they're all perfectly free from oil and blasted all back to bare metal, so they're ready for Cerakoting. What we have got in the oven here is an example of what we're looking for after they've been baked for their half an hour before we put the paint on. And you can see on this action here that there's the screw holes where the scope mount bases go. It's leaked some oil from where it's been in the thread, and also around where the barrel does up. So that weeping sort of area here are areas that the Cerakote won't be able to stick to, because it'll be oil there. So when we have this scenario, what we do is that goes back through the degreasing process, and then it goes back through the garnet blast process, and then it goes back in the oven and gets baked again for another half an hour until we get it coming out clean like the browning came out. Okay, we're up to the next phase, which is putting the paint on. So before we do that, we need to mix up some paint and get into the spray booth and apply it. First thing we've got our spray gun here, which has all been disassembled to make sure it's all nice and clean. And we're using the iWater spray gun as recommended by Cerakote. And we also have a refrigerated air dryer down here, which is humming away, and that's ensuring that the air is purified and all the moisture is taken out of it, and that means when we're spray painting we're getting absolutely no moisture and perfectly clean air. We've got our two colours that we're going to be painting here today, which is some Armour Black and some Coyote Tan, and we've got our hardener there that's going to be mixed in there. So first thing we'll do is we'll put the spray gun together, and we'll just make sure that's working, and then we'll mix our paint. Okay, we're up to the last part of the Cerakote project, and that's the reassembly. So we've painted all our bits, we've dejigged them, and now we'll put them all together and we'll have a rebuilt rifle. Right, so if we just look through our bits, and when we're putting them together, we're just checking that there's no faults with that as well. So it's a bit of a service check.